My name is Jerome Ferry. My cameraman is Alan Eggers. We're doing a video interview with Mr. Russell Collins, who is a lifelong resident of Cedar Rapids and a retired doctor of dentistry. Dr. Russell Collins, would you like to be called Doctor or Russell?
No, it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Doctor, when and where were you born?
I was born in Cedar Rapids. I was born March 24th, 1925.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I had one brother and one sister. I had another sister, but she died at birth, a little bit after birth. So I had two, a brother and a sister.
What was your parents' names?
My parents were Artis Collins and Robert Collins. They separated, though, and when I was about 8 years old, and somewhere in that age, a little bit earlier. And my mother remarried to Tony Cruz, Alonzo Cruz, and we went to Rock Island about 1935.
Where did you go to school?
Well, I went to school here at Lincoln School until I was about 8 years old. That was one of the schools I went to. Then we moved to Rock Island, I said, and then I went to several schools there and ended up going to Franklin School in Rock Island and Rock Island High the first year. Then I moved back here in 1940 and lived with my father and went to McKinley High School in Cedar Rapids.
So what was it like growing up in Cedar Rapids? As a kid, did you have a lot of fun?
Yeah, I played.
Growing up,
I played, sports and so forth at McKinley, and then. But see, fun we had to have. Now I had quite a few friends, but the white friend we couldn't go to the anywhere with them. The football team.
Any of their functions?
Yeah, we couldn't go to any of the functions. We didn't enjoy going to the school function because it wasn't really mixed like it should have been. And then you go to the stores. You can go in the store with the team members of you, and had to come out with a sandwich and so forth. They wouldn't allow you to eat there inside. So we didn't. It wasn't integrated very well at that time. But although in the school you didn't have much problem. The kids got along real well.
How about your playmates? Did they recognize you as an equal? That there was no
on the football team, yeah, and on the track team, yeah. I was a captain of the track team at McKinley, and I played football. Played on the only winning team that McKinley ever had, but at that time. But we got along real well with George Miller was one of the football players, and Bill Davenport and Chili Hopkins. You might have heard of them later on in years, but I don't know. But I know George Miller's towing service. You probably heard of him. He was our fullback. And we were all good friends. But after that, when you leave home, when you leave school, you went on your own way. Yeah. And although there were a few that lived up in our area that several of the black kids got along very well with, they integrated very well. But, still you couldn't go nowhere except to school and back.
At what age did you... how do I want to say this? At what age did you feel you were being treated differently, or was this something that was just passed on from your folks? It was a known thing, or
no? Actually, as a kid, we knew. When you start going to restaurants, we restricted going to restaurants. We didn't go to. If there was bowling alleys, you didn't go to them places. Places like that. We didn't get to go to golf courses. We didn't go to. So you knew you weren't supposed to go, but you really didn't really worry about it too much. You just sort of made your own fun. So. When I got married, that's when I started feeling more so.
But when you was a kid, that didn't hurt you?
It didn't bother me too much because, it might have bothered me because I missed out on a lot of things that I probably would have wanted to do. But we just sort of made our own fun. We started out in a new, different type of life for ourselves. the kids would get together. They'd have their own picnics, and like every Labor Day, they had a park. They went down to the park and on the west side, what's called
Riverside, Riverview, or
Riverside
Riverside.
or Riverview. I can't remember what it's called now, but and then they have a picnic there, and they had their barbecue and their stuff and their games and so forth. We look forward to that probably once a year. Then, as I got a little bit older, dances. They had dances which we were restricted. We had to go to once they'd have a dance maybe once in 4 or 5 months or 6 months, something like that. And you sort of went to. You look forward to those things. It wasn't like every day you go somewhere. And then let's see, one other thing that we would go skating up there at on First Avenue, A Avenue, Sonic Hall or something. And I can't remember the building, but we got to skate one afternoon, roller skating I did, one afternoon for about 3 hours on a Sunday. And kids would come from Waterloo and from Iowa City and places like that. And we had a pretty good time. So, this gave us things to look forward to and things to do. Now, if they was available, like we could go every day, we probably wouldn't be that, wouldn't be that interested in it.
When you was a little kid, did you go fishing downtown?
Oh yeah.
Quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fishing. But usually by myself, just go down there, throw a line or something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the sophisticated equipment. Just a piece of string. And
yeah, but did you catch fish?
Oh yeah. Now I don't even know how I did it. But now when I go, I use a pole and I can't catch fish. Now we used to just throw a line, just throw it in.
The railroad.
Railroad?
The depot downtown. Did you ever have the opportunity to ride the train or?
Well, that I had when I went in the service. Yeah, I rode the train during that time, but I used to go to the depot all the time. That was later on in my life when I was going to Cole College, because that was probably the only place we could eat. One of the only places you could go out and get something to eat, And I used to drop down there and eat a sandwich every now and then.
There was no questions asked. It wasn't segregated or anything. About trolleys, do you remember trolleys in Cedar Rapids?
Yeah. The streetcars was running, and I lived out in by Lincoln School on the west side, and my father lived on the east side here by Mercy Hospital. So we would catch it. Sometimes we'd catch a trolley and ride over there. Most of the time we'd walk. We walked a lot of places there at that time. It didn't seem like nothing to do. We walked like the Seymour Acre used to be out here, and that's when they used to have the fair and so forth. And we'd walk out there from the west side. It didn't seem to bother us. Although by the time we got home, we were ready to go to sleep.
How about Hunter Airport? Do you remember Hunter Airport?
Never knew about Hunter Airport until later. Yeah. I knew about when I came out of service, and I went out there a couple of times and flew.
Radios. Did your family have a radio?
Yeah.
When you were a kid?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we had radio. That's the only thing I think we did have. We got to watch listen to the program and so forth. And that was one big event. We sat there each and every family. But you sort of like a family, and then you sat down and everybody and sat down and listened to the radio and different programs, whatever they were. Now I can't recall them, but I remember the Green Hornet and all those things.
Did you and your friends, were you into boxing?
I wasn't into boxing. Now, my brother and I, my sister got married at a young age, 16 or something like that. And she left and went to Gary, Indiana. So it was just me and my brother out there on the west side, and we never got involved in sports. I didn't even know nothing about football or basketball too much. Because at Lincoln School we played soccer, I think it was, or something like soccer, something similar to soccer. And that was about the only sports that I think we played around there. And then we made our own games and kicked the can and things like that. So I wasn't even aware of football and basketball.
How about motion pictures? Did you get to go to the matinees?
Oh yeah. Now the motion pictures, we'd go every Saturday. They used to have that's the Rialto, the Olympic Theater.
The Rialto?
Rialto. That was on First Avenue, I believe, and then the Time. They used to be, and then the one down on the Olympic at one time. It was called down on 12th Avenue. They used to have 10-unit shows about that time. I think for a nickel or a dime, you could get in there for a 10-unit show. Hey, we can get a quarter and go to the show and have a good time for a quarter.
Stay
all day.
Stay all day.
Yeah, I think that's one where Mother sent us there. We just go and stay all day. You get rid of us. I suppose. I don't.
You had we had talked about the parks. You spent a lot of time, or spent different occasions down at the Riverside Park. Would that have been on the 4th of July, or every so often did they have
Labor Day?
Labor Day
Yeah,
was a big day.
They had the day, yeah. Other day now, we could go down there in the wading pool. You know, they had a wading pool. We go down there and that we could get into that. There was no problem at that time. There was no problem going into the. Well, there really was no problem doing most of those things, going around, running around, getting in the swimming pool with the kids down there until they built the swimming pool down this park. Now we used to have a beach down there at Ellis Park, and we went there and we used to swim down. Well, I didn't swim; I didn't know much about swimming, but we went out there and then flopped around in the water, so, and had a good time. And everybody was mixed. You know, you never even thought about it. But when they built the swimming pool, things changed.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. When you were a kid like that, did you ever have a paper route part-time? Was your folks able to give you any money to go to the movies? Or
yeah, well, my dad worked as a foreman at Pennington Ford, and so whenever we went over there, he used to give us $1 or so to go to the movie. You know, he said, "Well, you don't need no money; just walk in backwards, make them think you're coming out." You know, but he would break down and give us some money. But we went to we used to go. That's where we go. We go over and he'd read us the paper, Sunday paper. Every Sunday we went to church and then went over to his house. And we had dinner and so forth. Then we went back to mother's house afterwards.
Sunday was kind of a
day that we spent
very
with him.
special day.
Yeah.
That you church. They were church-going people with your folks.
Oh yeah. Well, my father and them were. My mother, she didn't go too much.
How about dances? Did you ever?
Well, the only time, like I said, they had dances. Well, they'd have dances like once every 6 months or something like that. Not every 6 months, but every now and then they'd have it out somewhere out in Mayfield or Mayfair. So I can't remember the place. It was out. It seemed to me to be out by.
Was it out by
Ellis Park or somewhere? Yeah, there was someplace out there, Pavilion, and that's they used to go out there. But it was like maybe once a year or something like that. And then you'd have people coming in from Waterloo and from Iowa City and Davenport, maybe in some place.
Did the young people date a lot back then, or go steady, or?
Well, in my group, there was guys that had girls, you know, but most of the time they didn't have dates like they do nowadays. Most of the time, you just went to go to church and got with the girls afterwards and that, or you went to the movie. You met them there at the movie. It was cheaper that way. But I don't think I never did. I never knew. I never had a date there with taking any girls anywhere.
Do you remember the name of the church at that time?
The Methodist, the Methodist and the
over by
Baptist,
Mercy
yeah.
or where?
There were two of them, the Methodist and the Baptist. The Baptist over by. See, some of our group would be Baptist and some were Methodist.
Okay.
Those are the two main churches there, and that's where.
Well, I thought you said your dad went to a church and was
My
it?
dad went to the Methodist. Yeah, he was like a trustee and so forth.
Oh.
So his whole family kind of went there.
Do you remember a carnival week that used to be held in Cedar Rapids, where they used to have a carnival come to town?
Well, yeah, they had circus and carnivals, but and the ones I can remember was one at Seymour Acres, but I can't remember. I know there used to be the parade. We see the parades and so forth, but we'd go to that and watch them. But I can't remember where else they were at. But I think there was somewhere else they held, but I'm not sure. It wasn't Hawkeye Down, no, I'm pretty sure, like they do now. I think it was out Seymour Acres. That's what I can remember.
You don't remember them bringing elephants into town on the trains?
Well, yeah, we used to go out and watch them unload. a little off the train track. So I think that was on a side track. That's somewhere. I think it was more off, not down in town itself usually. But if I can remember, I seem to me that it was off somewhere more closer to the river, but maybe not.
They never hired you.
No, we never. I was, well, it's got real. I was 8 years old. I was 8 years old then I left here. And I went to Rock Island. By the time, then I came back here and I was I was in first year of high school. Let's see,
Probably ninth grade.
No, it was 10th grade. 10th grade. They were combined though, but McKinley, they had junior high and senior high together. But I was in 10th grade when I came. I attended my first semester of high school in Rock Island, and then I came back in the summer vacation. I came here, and I started school here the second.
How about camps? Did you ever get to go to camp in the summertime?
Or Wapsie Y.
Wapsie Y?
Yeah, I think I went that one time, went to twice. That was pretty nice. That was an experience, and we enjoyed that.
Was that mixed or was that segregated?
No, it's segregated.
Segregated.
There was I don't remember anything mixed when I was a kid coming up.
How about you in the wintertime when you was a kid? What did you do to entertain yourself? Did you go ice skating or skiing or
Sledding.
sledding?
Yeah.
Do you have a popular hill that?
Well, where we lived, I lived, as I say, on the west side. We lived on 20th Street there. It was a nice hill there, and all the kids would come out and slide down that hill. But we could find a lot of hills out there because it was that's where we was out in the semi in the country almost, And we had a lot of fun riding sleds, and then the backyard. One time I remember my stepdad, when he first come in dating my mother, and he come out with a sled. We jumped on his back and rode down the hill and rode. We saw that he wasn't going to make the turn, so we rode off. He went into the creek. But we got along real good. And,
was your dad a fun type person?
That was my stepdad then. My father was he didn't go do too much. He was pretty busy working. He had a tavern that he owned and the barber shop and the food hall and all that stuff. Then he worked as a foreman, and so he was pretty busy. He didn't do that.
Did you ever get to hang around that tavern? Or?
Oh yeah. The tavern I didn't have. Well, we hung around there because it was right next door to the barber shop, and then we went to that, and so we had to go in there and that, to see him and that sometime. But and they didn't seem to worry about us going in and out, I guess. We hung up in taverns quite a bit.
Did young kids drink back then?
No,
like they do now.
No. I don't think that started until the war, and that's when the certain group of the kids left, like from 17 on up, and the young kids took their place. The 14 and 15-year-olds became 17, 18 group. And then I guess when I came back to Cedar Rapids, they were drinking real good.
How about smoking? Probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Did you smoke when you sneak cigarettes when you were young?
I did one time. I took with my brother and I and a friend took a pack of cigarettes and tried it out, and I didn't like it. I never smoked cigarettes hardly since then. Oh, I could smoke one once, but I don't
didn't
care.
do anything for you.
I don't smoke cigarettes. I used to give my ration card away in the service, so somebody would want to. I never use it.
How about?
I don't drink either.
How about holidays? Did you have any favorite? How about your Christmases? Was that a big time for your family?
Our holiday, well, it was big to us, but it was nothing like what the kids have today. We, as far as gifts and that, we were lucky to get one or two items, and we were happy for it. Once in a while, we get a big item like a sled or a bicycle or something like that, and each one of us gets that. But I remember when my kids, I used to load the floor up with kids' gifts for them, and still wasn't enough. They were looking for more. Is that all? But we were lucky. I remember my wife me and I were talking about it. Just get one doll or something like that. And they had to spread it around among the kids. But we were fortunate. My mother and that were fortunate enough to We would get gifts of the peace, like both of us kids would get a sled or get a bicycle or get a something. But that was not it. We got that, but most of the stuff we get the box of soccer candy and nuts, and the box of chocolate between us. We remember that. That was something sort of every Christmas we get that, and then and we got a chance to put up the trees and stuff like that and help decorate. We enjoyed the holiday, but it wasn't. We wasn't loaded up with anything.
Did you go out and find a tree, or was your dad able to?
I can't remember. I don't know. I think I don't know. We was out there where we could have chopped trees, but I can't remember where they got them. We never did that part. They brought them in, and we got the food with them.
How about the July 4th? Was that a big day? Fireworks and
parades?
Well,
you got to use firecrackers and that. But we never had no big monster firecrackers. We just had the small. They're pretty good. They blow up cans and stuff like that, and put them in guns and shoot with caps and things. We had a lot of fun with the 4th of July. But you got, it's not. Wasn't the sparklers thing. I enjoy the fact that you could take a firecracker and throw it out and hear it pop, or put it in their can, blow up the can a little bit, in the air, and things like that. It seemed like nowadays they just took the joy away from fire.
Yeah.
4th of July.
How about kids' behavior back then? Was there gangs or young kids just doing destructive type things?
No, not even on Halloween. We would do things that sometimes we might do something that we'd get scolded about doing. But
Like what?
Oh, you might take a brick, and maybe put it in the porch, and ring the bell, and make it inside of something, a bunch of garbage. You put it there in the porch or something like that, or tip over a outhouse or something like that. But most of the time we never did damage that were lasting. We never broke anything or somebody. And we had not a gang per se gang, but I ran around with about 3 or 4 different kids. Some went to Roosevelt, and some went to McKinley, and some went. That were the 2 schools that most blacks went to, and maybe a couple went to Wilson. Not too many, but we didn't. We get together because we meet at church, and we run, and we go to school. We go to football games, or at that time I didn't go to any games. I was 8 years old, but when I came back, we'd go together to games and stuff like that. But we wasn't forming gangs for the purpose to get. If you got into a fight, if a fight would develop, you had to fight. It was your own fight, and nobody would help you fight. They stand around. They maybe keep you in a circle. You couldn't get out of the way, but it was you and that other guy. They would have to fight, and nobody really, it wasn't a racial type thing. Normally, sometimes it would do because someone called a name, racially named, but normally it wasn't because one was black and one was white that you fought. You fought because you didn't like the guy or something. He said something you didn't like, or it was a racial mark made or something like that.
Did you think the parents probably kept a lot closer track of their kids back then compared to what they do nowadays? They come home after school and the parents aren't home and the kids have to go by themselves.
Well, I think that in my difference of the days, what I see now, we were required. We weren't allowed to go to anybody home, before probably afternoon until the afternoon. And when we did go, it was you treated everybody, the parents, whoever was there, they were the parents. You treated them as parents. Respect, yeah. And everybody on the street that was older than you, you were treated with respect then. So, especially in the black neighborhood, because there was probably only around 2,000 and something about that time. So you got to know most everyone, know most of them. And so one could tell, the other would tell. If you did something, that one would tell your mother just as quick as you. You get there before you get home. And or they would even scold you themselves. So they wouldn't spank you or nothing, maybe, but they were sure lay a blessing to you. And so I don't know. I think that there was a lot more respect for elderly people or for other person you're older than you than there is today.
How about jobs? Did a lot of young people get jobs?
The only job that at that time we could cut the lawns, cover the snow and stuff like that. That was probably, and I guess there was some people that delivered newspapers and that. I used to sell at one time in my life I did sell a newspaper on the street there, and I remember one time they had the extras. We go around hollering extra, even though it wasn't extra, we sell the paper pretty quick. Until we got told that we couldn't do that anymore. But I remember doing that once. But the only thing about it, they had corners, and this is my block. You can't sell on my block. So if you was a new man, you really didn't have no place to sell a paper, So. But so I didn't do that very long. I ran into maybe this is my corner. You can't sell a paper on this corner. So there was that, going on.
I can imagine back then that of course, there was a lot more people on the sidewalks downtown.
Oh, you mean walking
Nowadays,
around?
you'd starve to death if you were standing on the street corner selling newspapers. There wouldn't be
except-
enough people.
Except that they had that extra during the 11th, September 11th. They put out a little extra there. They were the worst 2 sheets of paper, but they sold that thing. So there were people all over the place buying that thing. And I got a couple sheets of them, and so I give my kid one.
Yeah, I put a couple away for posterity.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised that the Gazette sold them. I thought that had been a good
Yeah.
gesture on their part.
Oh, that's what that was 50 cents for that baby too.
How about hospitals? Did you ever, any of your family ever get sick? Did the doctor come to your house, or did you have to go to the doctor, were you fortunate enough?
I think we went to them. I don't remember. I can't remember anybody coming to the house. They would have, I think, at that time. And I think probably they had, but the only sickness I can remember, I had tonsillitis. And I did not like that when they put me in ether. The hospital was not, I did not want anything to do in the hospital after that. But that's about the only time I was ever sick, and my folks never was sick either for a long time.
Did you ever have any complications from your tonsillectomy, like eating green apples, or?
Never bothered me. I had that when I was pretty young, and I didn't really know one thing or other. Or I did get hit. I had a gland removed in the back of my head where a kid hit me with a rock, and that was the only time. It was 2 times I had in the hospital. But we had, they had no problem there, except that you had to find. I guess they had their own doctor. After a period of time, there were certain doctors. But although there had been problems with blacks going to white doctors.
Do you remember the Douglas Starch Works?
Oh yeah, my dad worked there.
You'd have been too young.
I don't remember it. No.
But your dad worked
Yeah, my dad worked there. He was there just left there when the explosion happened. Yeah, he just left from the place there when they had that explosion.
You worked the day shift evidently then.
I guess. I was, as you say, I was a real young kid then, a baby then. I didn't know about it, but I was told about it.
Did he ever tell you about it? Did he have any friends he lost, or?
Well, he never talked about it. No.
Never talked about it.
I just knew that they did exist. It did happen. Yeah.
How about ice houses? Do you remember them delivering ice?
Oh yeah, the ice being built, and milk being delivered every day. Yeah. Well, see, we lived out there, as I said, in the country, and we had the milk route and the ice route. We had because I call that thing, they call it ice box. My wife said, that's not an ice box, that's a refrigerator. But I used to remember picking up that ice, and also loading coal. We used to have coal delivered too, and have to shovel the coal into the furnace to put it in the basement and stuff like that after it's in the basement.
Okay, so you grew up and you decided to go to college?
Yeah. I went to Cole College in January of 43. I graduated January of 43, went to Cole January of 43, right? From age from high school to the next day in Cole.
So this was right during the war.
Yeah, it was on, yeah, they were fighting.
Did you,
The draft was going on. And I felt that I was going to, as soon as I got into college, I got my draft notice, yeah. And they let me finish. They said, well, I could stay for the first semester in college, but after that, I'd probably be getting my notice. And I did. I got in October. I went in January to Cole. In October, I got my notice to go join the service.
so where did you report to?
Fort Des Moines. Camp Dodge.
Camp Dodge in Fort Des Moines. Yeah. How'd you get there? Bus?
Bus, yeah. Yeah, we all rode down there in the bus with and it was pretty interesting.
Was the buses segregated at that time?
No. The buses in Ireland that they weren't segregated. You know, if you got a seat, you got a seat. You sit with anybody, you could do that. And but it was pretty loaded. At that time, it was pretty loaded. We had people would stand up in the aisles and ride.
Was Camp Dodge? That's a pretty large place, if I recall.
Oh yeah.
Was and how long did you stay at?
Well, mine was a little different. When I got there, I stayed a long time. I stayed there probably 5 or 6 months. Most people got in there and out, was gone in through a few days. But because I took the test for the Tuskegee, for an airman, become a pilot, and there's only one place that we could be sent to, and that was Tuskegee. I was kept there for a long time.
This Tuskegee was in
Alabama. Tuskegee,
Alabama.
Yeah. That was the only place that we trained pilot, and I took the test there, and I passed at Camp Dodge, so I sat around doing nothing. In other words, I cleaned up the yard, and I went KP. That's why I do a lot of dishes now. My wife put me on the dishes because I did KP so well. I did it almost every other day, you know, and for about 4, 5, or 6 months. I used to come home every weekend. They used to make a movie one time, where a guy kept coming back. They didn't think he was in the service. Well, they began to think I wasn't in the service. So I finally I did get orders from Camp Dodge to go to Keeslerville, Mississippi, which was for my basic training. And I got there, and I can't remember what month it was I arrived there, but I did my basic about 30 days, and then I sat around again for about 5 or 6 months before I got ordered to go to Tuskegee. So it took me about a year. I think it was over about a good year before I got down to Tuskegee after taking the test in October. I think I got in Tuskegee around October the next year.
Did you have any interest as a child in airplanes?
No. I just watched them fly across. Everybody, you know, I never knew anything about it. And the thing about it, I was scared of heights. So.
Why did you decide you wanted to be a pilot?
Oh, I think I just heard about it. You know, I heard about the Tuskegee Airmen, the 99 through the. They used to have a Negro paper they got in the Chicago, the Denver, you see, the Philadelphia Courier, and one of the Denver something Courier or something like that, I think. And there's a guy named Montgomery used to sell that paper. You know, he used to have it here. He sell them. We used to see them. And in there they carry the episodes of the Tuskegee Airmen. And I just got interested and thought I'd like to do that, try it. You know, I'd never been in the air, never been in an airplane, never been close to an airplane. But I just thought I'd like to try it.
You had the aptitude,
Yeah.
evidently.
Well, once when I took the test, I didn't even know I probably had any chance to pass the test because I knew nothing about airplanes and nothing about that. or mechanics or anything else. But anyway, I did pass. In fact, there's only about 3 passed out of the 200 people that took the thing at that time, and there was only one. I mean, the other 2 were white, you know, and they were going somewhere else. But I don't know. I just, you know, it's like starting something and then don't want to quit. You know, and that's the way it was with me until after I got my first flight. Then I didn't, you know, I'll tell you, that first flight, I got way down in that seat. I got way down. You couldn't even see me in the airplane. But after I got up there, it wasn't that bad, and then, you know, I got to enjoy it.
Did you go on to get your wings then?
Yes, I did. I graduated. Let's see. I think it was August of '44.
How large was your class then?
It was a pretty good sized class. We had well, our class was one of the first ones that had twin engine pilots also. So half of our class were trained in the advanced phase as twin engine pilots, and the other was still stayed in single engine pilots. We started out. We did several things that we kept in the advanced the AT6 as basic in the basic training too. We started right into the AT6 where they used to train the PT a little bit longer. The class when they first started out, so we went from the PT, the Stearman, in the primary on into the AT6, and we stayed in that as a single engine pilot all the way through advanced training. And then in advanced training, the twin engine pilot went in B-25. So our class was one of a pretty good sized class that graduated.
Was there any whites in the class?
Oh, no. No, we had white instructors, though, and we also was one of the classes that had a few black instructors coming back from the 99th and 332nd groups that helped train us there. There wasn't very many of them, but there was a few that came.
Did you get assigned to overseas duty?
No. No, the war, when I was at gunnery, finished gunnery, we got our pilot wing, and we went down to gunnery. And just as soon as we finished gunnery, they come tell us that the war with Germany was over. And I told them they were scared because I was coming. That's why they ended the war. But nobody ever believed me.
You need a good story.
Yeah. But anyway, the war ended, and I left to come back to Tuskegee for a while. They said that anybody who wanted to sign something like that, they might be out within a week. Oh, I didn't believe them. But I signed it anyway, and that next Sunday I was on my way to Sioux City, Iowa for discharge.
Well, the Japanese, the war was still going on in the Pacific, right?
Yeah.
But none of this Air Force went that way.
No, they. I guess they had planned on dropping that bomb.
They already
bomb.
had them planned. Okay.
They must have had. I don't
Yeah.
know. They did. Because after we returned from gunnery. Right after, the war ended while we were still at gunnery, they said. We returned to gunnery, and the next day or so, they made an announcement that anybody who wants to sign could get out in about a week. And the war still was going on in Japan, as far as I know. Then they dropped I don't remember when. That was in I came back here in October of '45. Now, I can't remember when they dropped the bomb in Hiroshima.
I have a notation here that you served in an honor guard.
Well, that was in ROTC. Yeah, that was here that was in Coe College.
For
President Truman, honor guard. Yeah, I came back and I got an ROTC. I returned back to college at Coe College in '46, and I went to ROTC, and in about '47, I got to become a colonel. A lieutenant colonel in the ROTC, and then second in command. They said they thought that was probably the highest rank that a black might have held, because we had, where other schools that had black schools, they didn't have colonels.
Sure. How long did you stay in the ROTC?
Oh, well, I was there for the 3 years that I had left in college, or 3.5 years that I had left in college.
You didn't sign back up when that...
I did later. That came later. But You know, you got paid $75 a month also, see, plus your tuition from the, you know, the GI Bill. So I was getting $75 more by being in ROTC, see, so it was a twofold thing. And I could use it at that time because that was the only money I had coming in from, you know, for myself.
Were you married yet at that
No,
time?
I didn't get married till later.
What, when did you decide what you wanted to do with your life, now that
Well,
you were...
I was studying chemistry at that time in Cole, and I thought that might, and the teacher, I thought I'd like to teach and coach maybe. I thought I really would like to be a coach, and so I took education courses in chemistry as my major. But when I graduated in '49, now in between that, you asked me once before about that honor guard. Well, as being the second in command at the ROTC, the two top people were supposed to form. They were supposed to be the honor guard for President Truman's inaugural. Because I think his name was VC. I think his name was the band leader or something at that time was, and he seemed to be always take Cole College down there, you know, to some inaugural when it comes up. He had some kind of pretty good connection. But anyway, this one of the officers in the ROTC didn't want me to go. You know, he tried to cut me out because for some reason, and because I was black, that's what it was. But VC, the band leader, come and said, "Look, you are the second in command, and you got a right. You get to go if you want to go. So if you want to go, you can go." He said, "Don't pay attention to anybody else." He said, "I'm the band leader." So I said, "Well, yeah, I think my wife. Well, I was married at that time. I got married in '48. And this was in. I got married in '48, and this was in the latter part of '48. So I said, "Yeah, I'll go." So we went, and we did. We were. Cole College was at the inaugural, President Truman inaugural, and we were the honor guard. Or we were Cole College honor guard,
Yeah.
I say, not the name.
You were talking about you thought you'd like to be a coach. What particular sport
Oh,
did you...
yeah, well, I like track and football and basketball. It doesn't matter which one it was. And I studied for that. But so after I graduated, and I say I got married in '48, and I graduated in January '49. I started applying around different areas for it, and I wrote hundreds of letters out, you know, and some people wouldn't even answer, you know, and some that did answer just wouldn't even waste time to answer, just write job fill. But once in a while, I'd get a letter back. And one time, I remember one where he said, "I know all about you. You know, I watched you run and watch you, on the track team, and I'd like to have you, but I don't think this community is ready for a black person at this time." So there just were no jobs available. And the other job in the field of chemistry, it says, you know, what experience have you had? I had no experience. And so I just found that there was nothing available. I even took the policeman examination. I was number 1 on it. But of course, they could take any one of the top 10. And I knew that I wasn't going to be picked there either because... So that happened after I got back. Later on, I decided I'd try the service again. I said, I think I'll try the service because that was in 1950. And they said, yeah, we'd be glad to take you back in there. All you got to do. But they would ask me if I wanted to go back in on my transportation at MOS. And I said, sure. Instead of as a pilot, you know, because I had been fined for that sometimes. So they said, so I said, yeah, that's fine. So they sent me a report on the 9th of July, 1950, to Camp Stoneman. And that's what I did. And I spent 8 more years in the service.
8 more years.
And, it was different. It was really, I was kind of glad to go back in because the service was a lot different. You know. First time when I got back in the first time, I had a white roommate. He was a ex-pilot. And when I went over on this ship overseas, I had 4 white, 3 other white guys in the stateroom with us, and then we ate together, and we slept in the same place together. So the service was integrated after 1947, wasn't it? I think that they integrated the services.
Were you able to maintain your rank, second lieutenant, or did
Yeah,
you
I
go
was
higher?
second lieutenant. No, I went in as second lieutenant. Well, I became a second lieutenant also, through the ROTC program too. So I kept the rank, but then I went to the Philippines, and I changed jobs there several times. And I did this throughout my service career. I went from adjutant to transportation officer to supply and everything else. As a second lieutenant, you did everything. And I ended up. I've been in New York, and I was asked to go over to become a group adjutant as a second lieutenant. I mean, first lieutenant, the group adjutant on a field movement. But I decided I wanted to go down to South Carolina on this aerial delivery where we dropped heavy equipment and so forth. And paratroop, we had the only Air Force paratroopers in this outfit. And these guys, they get their senior wings like in a month or so. They get their senior wings because they jumped almost 2 or 3 times a day. And we dropped heavy equipment and so forth. So I got in that outfit instead of going. I wish I had took that one over to France. That would have probably been a better deal then. But I enjoyed it.
Did you get to fly?
I flew a lot, but I didn't fly as a pilot. I mean, I was in the airplane almost all the time, but in the back part, we dropped equipment. We had, in other words, as an aerial delivery officer, we dropped like 105 howitzers or 6x or jeeps and equipment to. We also, our group, we had what you call the Air Force Pathfinder, which were the ones that jumped in first to notify the Army, to guide the Army into the drop zone when they parachuted.
Did they ever give you the opportunity to pursue your flying career because you had your wings?
No.
No,
I never. Well, that's what I said when I went back in '50. They asked me would I go in as a transportation officer. When I got the ROTC MOS instead of as a pilot, and I said sure. Now if I had said no, I'd rather go in the pilot. Then I probably could have done it, I think. But I was married then, and I hadn't flown for a while. I didn't care. I had a different.
Had no
attitude.
desire to.
No.
Was your wife able to go with you on all these?
Well, she didn't go to the Philippines, but she came in about a year later. Then when we went to Germany, she went over on a trip there with me in Germany. When I went to Greenland, she couldn't go there, of course. But we went to she traveled all over. We went to South Carolina, and New York, and wherever else I went. She either went with me or she came
Later.
She enjoyed it because, it was a different something. She hadn't been out of, she came from New Jersey, but she came from Virginia up to New Jersey. She lived in New Jersey for a while.
But did you meet her at Cole?
I met her at Cole. She came from New Jersey to Cole. She lived, she was the first black allowed to sleep in the dormitory at Cole, too. That was in 48, 47. She was the first black to live there, so.
So when you finally left the service, then what did you pursue?
Oh, then when I came out of the service, we returned back here. Then things were the same, there was no. This was in the 58, and you still couldn't eat in the different restaurant places. But the NAACP was pretty active about that time, so I became active in the NAACP. I contacted the dental school to see if there was a chance of getting into the dental school because I had inquired earlier and they had my record. They still had my record. I inquired back in the 50s about it. As soon as I got into service, I inquired about it. And they kept my records all that time, and they said, yeah, well, you need one course. So I went ahead and took that course, and I took the test and see if I could get in there. In the meantime, I also took a test for the post office, and I was number 1 on the post office list. And so while we were waiting around for that to happen, as I said, I became active in the NAACP, and we started trying to improve the conditions in Cedar Rapids. So in the latter part of the 58, they called me to the post office, but I also said I checked with the dental school, and I found out I was accepted in the dental school. So I told the guy there, he said, well, you're accepted now, but he said, I think you ought to go ahead and try the dental school, and then, because you're number 1 anyway, he said, you can always get back in the post office if you want. And I said, okay, so I went ahead and went into dental school, and so I took that instead.
Did you go to dental school here in Iowa?
In University of Iowa.
University,
Yeah, and I had fortunate to had about 1 semester, 1 year left on my GI Bill, and so I got to that kind of got through. And my wife, she started working at Collins, and so we were able to make it through there. So she put me through college, as she said. Then I put her through college later. So I mean, we broke out even.
How many years did it take you to get your?
I had to pick up. Well, it actually took me about 5 because I had to pick up an extra course and so forth, and that I didn't have. In chemistry too, that was saying before was on quarters. That was the problem. And they weren't on semesters, and I was ended up with quarters short in some chemistry. So I graduated in '63, and at that time we were doing pretty good in the NAACP. We had a lot of good white support, like Ely, the senator, ex-senator Ely, and guy who worked for Killian and so forth, and Killian, and the one in the light company, the guy that they were in the NAACP, and they were pretty present, and we were moving along pretty good. And when the Civil Rights Act of 1964 came out, then things changed quite a bit, and so we were able to go and eat in the restaurants, go out to places, go to the bowling alleys and places like that without any problem. Well, you had problems, and housing was still a problem, but we got the Rights Committee to develop that and started fighting that so that we wouldn't have too much problem. So around 1965 or 6, things were pretty good here.
So when did you hang out your shingle?
63.
63 in here in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, Armstrong was. He got an office down there. He was pretty instrumental. He forgot to say he was pretty instrumental in helping in the Civil Rights Act improvement in Iowa, in Cedar Rapids. That is. Let's see. I had an office in his Armstrong building, and in fact, when I moved, when he got put up in the new building, he moved me over in that other new building. So he was pretty good.
When you first started, did you get feel after a while you may starve to death doing this, or did you acquire clientele?
No, it came in pretty. I had client in pretty good. I had a.
Was there other black dentists in Cedar Rapids?
No, I'm the only one. Well, there was one earlier, but he died in '58. Dr. Shears, and but he died in '58, and I graduated in '63. And I was the only one here. But most of my patients were white, not black.
Really?
And so I had black patients too, but I mean, most of them were white.
Is this something you like to do? You enjoy doing dentistry?
Oh yeah. I enjoyed it after I got into it. I mean, I didn't know I was going to enjoy that. I didn't know nothing about dentistry either. The only reason I wanted to get into it was because I talked to somebody in the service, you know, just some of the new dentists that was there, the young dentists, and they were talking about it, and I tend, you know, when I go to the hospital, get my teeth worked on, they were talking, so I got interested in it, so I applied, I applied in my early years in the 50s. And so another one of these things, you get started and you just keep going until, and you don't know. I mean, I never done it before, and the only time I ever been to the dentist, I can't say that it was the most happy experience, but that was, I still wanted to try it. Then once you try it, you know, you didn't want to give up.
I often wonder, does the dentist, when he has any dental work, does he try to fix it himself if he can?
I did. I did a couple of times. I pulled my own tooth a couple of times. But I shot myself and everything else just to see if I could. That's when I worked at the reformatory. And I didn't have nobody, you know, around there that I get to, so I just went ahead and gave myself a shot and pulled my tooth. But, I was hoping I didn't break it. That was because I could have dug it out.
At what point in time did you, and how did you get hooked up with the reformatory? You're talking about Anamosa?
Yeah, Anamosa, yeah. Well, I was in my office, you know, and working, and this salesman come by, and he was saying that they had lost the dentist that was quitting at the reformatory. And he said, and I said, I thought I'd give him a try, so I wrote him and asked him if they're interested in dentists. Did you need a dentist down there? And he said, yeah, come down for an interview. So I went down, and they took me around and showed me the place, and I says, okay, and they offered me the amount, you know, told me what they pay me and so forth. I said, okay, so. I got to realize I was 38 years old when I graduated, so I figured that, you know, this would be because of the hypers, that might be a better way of retirement type program. So I thought I'd take it, and I kept my practice at night. You know, after I got off work there, I came down here and worked from like 3:30 or 4:30 till 9 o'clock at night, you know, and I did that till about 86.
Did your clients, your client base here in Cedar Rapids, did they object to you just being available on the night shift, or?
No, because those that came to me at that time. I mean, I just had my office open at the time. Those that wanted to come at that time did. You know, I was surprised when there were several that come. I'd get people from out of town a lot. You know, I had people coming like from Burlington would come drive in. One family would come in, so I'd sit the whole night for them. When they like if it was mostly in the summer, but in wintertime I couldn't take that chance. So I'd just be there for them for about 2 or 3 hours and work on them, one set of patient.
Did the reformatory, did they give you a contract where they give you so much a month or so much for each?
Yeah, I got a salary out of it. I got a salary. Yeah. And they were, and the thing about it though, at that time the warden and so forth, they were pretty good, and they actually wanted good dentistry down there. They didn't have it before. When I first got there, the guy, I think all they did was just pull the teeth. You know, they wouldn't even fix them. Just go ahead and pull the teeth. And they had an oral surgeon coming in once a week, and the dentist coming in. For a while, they'd come in for about once a week. He'd look at him or something like that, and he was marking, and the guy coming, the oral surgeon come in and pull the teeth. So I had a lot of dentures, and partial to make when I got done there. Start out, but we caught up, and we had a pretty good deal going there for a while. We had I did regular dentistry down there for them, and they would come running over. Because I had to set up there. If they were late for their appointment, I'd call another one in. And so you see guys running across the road trying to get there on time because they wanted to make their appointment. So it was pretty good. You wouldn't think that they were that interested, but they were.
Did any of the prisoners? Did you ever build up a rapport where they would discuss their family life and their problems with you, and then.
Oh yeah, I got along very well with the prisoners actually, and in fact, there was a few of some of the main ones, you know, the key prisoners, the guys that kind of run the places there were telling them that you don't mess with the dentist, you know, because if you do, you got to put up with us. So I didn't have any trouble with any prisoners down there at all. Oh, once in a while you get somebody mouthing off, but there's somebody, if they were around there, they'd take him outside and talk there, you know, straighten him out. I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Did you ever wonder that you may be hearing more things you really want to know, or didn't they open up that much?
No, they wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't tell me things like that. I've had a few tell me about how I'm in here because I'm in here for something I shouldn't do, but I should be here anyway because I've done so much other things, you know, things like that. So, but no, they have never confessed. You know, they wouldn't do that. But in fact, I got one of them was a cat burglar. He was one of the best known cat burglars in the country, and he was the one that supposed to got Elizabeth Taylor Diamond and so forth. And he was down there, and he wrote a book, and he signed the book and gave it to me. And I'll be dogged if I know where that book's at. I'll try to keep it out of where it's at. But he was well known as one of the top cat burglars in the country.
So how long did you stay with
24
this?
years.
24 years at the reformatory.
Yeah.
What year did you leave?
1991. I went in 1967. Got out in 91, and we don't make so long noise. I got out in 1991, and then I had a stroke in 93. So I was lucky enough I got out when I got out. But,
At that time, is that when you retired from your profession?
yeah, I just quit. Yeah. My wife kind of wanted me to quit, and so I did. I was feeling good, you know. I mean, but the system kind of changed a little bit in the down there. You know, they were changing little policies and so forth. We didn't have the freedom like we used to have as a dentist, and so I decided I'd get on out of it. You know, we still could do dentistry, but they wanted too much control over there. They wanted to limit you. They wanted to restrict the guy. They couldn't get a partial. They couldn't get this even if they needed it. You know, they wanted to cut it out. So I said, I'm through with it.
In all the years that you were a dentist, did you ever have any friends that tried to freeload off you, get dentist work done for nothing?
Well, we used to give some of that anyway. Or I've had some that didn't pay. You know. A couple that you expect to pay and they didn't pay. And then I find some that the guy come in that I thought that I helped him out, and found out that the guy had sold all that property to Kirkwood. You know, he did, and I didn't have to help him out. He had all kinds of money, but you know, he came in there with his outfit, farmer outfit, and so forth, overalls and so forth, and said he wanted all this stuff. Okay, we'll cut it down for you.
If you had your life to live over again, would you have taken a different career?
Well, no, I think I would have still, if I had a chance, I still would like to went into this coaching and so forth. I'd like to have been a coach. I did that in the service one time in Germany. I was an assistant coach there with the football team, and then I used to have coached some of the teams in our squadron and so forth, the basketball and track.
I want to back up a little bit. You had mentioned your love of track. Were you quite active in track? You didn't mention that.
Yeah. I ran for Cole when I ran for McKinley.
What year would have that been?
At Cole or Cole? At Cole, it was 43 to. Then I went back to 46 to 49.
Did you ever get to go to any big meets out of town?
Oh yeah, well, we went to Drake and that. They don't go like they go now. They get to travel down to California, down to Florida, or places like that. We didn't go that far. We went to Wisconsin, Minnesota, and places like that. But and then the conference meet. I was fairly good. I wasn't the best, but I was good.
No, don't be so modest.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Tell us, did you?
I won a few races, but I lost a few too. I lost some of the big ones that I shouldn't have lost, but I did. The conference and that, I lost that. I don't think I lost it. I think they just gave it to the other guy. I hit the tape too, but they gave it to the other man. So.
When you were working at the reformatory, did you ever talk any of the inmates into going into profession of dentistry? Or?
Well, it just so happened that at that time I did use inmates as assistants. As some of the assistants now, I'd have a regular dental assistant, a girl that worked there, and then I have some inmates helping me too, and they would pour up my models, and they'd do other things that assistants would do outside. So one guy that worked there for me owns a laboratory, dental lab. He went there and he went down to Kirkwood and learned a little bit more about it, and then he now owns his own dental lab in Colorado or in Arizona.
Did you ever find yourself giving them fatherly advice?
Oh yeah, I had one guy that he had lost both of his legs for diabetic. He lost his legs and he'd been in and out of the prison ever since he was about 16 years old. And he was probably around in his late 30s and so forth. So I find, I would sit down and talk to him. I said, this is kind of stupid. I said, now, you got a daughter out there and so forth. And I said, here you are. You're still in here. I said, now, why don't you just make up your mind and stay out? And he did. He got out and he went and worked for the state at microfilming or something like that. He got a job microfilming, and he didn't have any legs, but he got artificial legs, but he learned how to do that. But he worked for me in the lab. And I used to talk to a lot of them there, and I say this one guy that has a lab. He used to be a Black Panther. And he was a black fellow, and he used to be a Black Panther in Des Moines, and so I used to talk to him and tell him, what value was it? I mean, I said, sure, at that time you did good. The Black Panthers had a good purpose, and I said, but now they kind of overstepping the bound. And I said, no, there's no sense in you staying in with them. I said, you should look out for yourself. And when he first got out, he sort of got back into the Black Panther a little bit. He used to know the Huey, Dewey, Huey Long, and all them guys. But then I heard that he broke away from me. Found out that they tried to stick him for that murder of the policeman in New York, and so he's just cut out from it. Yeah. But and he ends up now. He got a nice laboratory.
Did any of them ever have the occasion to get back with you and thank you later in life? Or?
I've had, as I say, that one without his legs. He got married again and asked me to come to the wedding and that, and I used to go down to Des Moines. I'd meet him down there in Des Moines, talk to him. But he died. He was a white fellow, and I think he was pretty grateful. He enjoyed working with me and that. I was the one that would take them out. I started taking the prisoners out for like on Thanksgiving and on Christmas, take them and bring them home, then to have dinner and so forth. If they had to have a certain classification before they go out. And I even had a band down there that I took out, and we traveled around. We played for Regis High School. We played for Clinton High School, and not Clinton, but Tipton, and we went to several places around Cedar Rapids. We played. The band did. They had a good band.
The administration down there never got in your way or told you maybe you were stepping out of your bounds or?
No. In fact, they sort of encouraged me doing it. I mean, the guy wanted to, you know, at that time, that was until that boy killed, until that fella shot those, was supposed to have shot those people in animals. They used to let them go out. Then they stopped them from going out after that. But at that time, I took them out. I used to take, like I said, the band had about 5 or 6 people in there. I'd take them out by myself, you know, and no problem.
Well, Russell, we're about ready to bring this interview to a close.
Okay.
I'm sorry you don't have more artifacts at hand here, but I noticed you have a T-shirt here, and I would like to have you hold it up for the camera. The front side first.
Yeah, this is one that they putting out now. It's not something that they had back in the time. They put this out now. This has come from some of the Tuskegee Airmen meet down there in the
Oshkosh.
Yeah, Wisconsin, and they bring these and they sell them there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend of mine that went down there and he buys them.
Would you turn it around?
And this is the name of all the cadets that went through Tuskegee.
Do you remember how many there were?
I think they're around 900 and something. 900, close to 1,000.
Could you, just for posterity, explain a little bit just what the Tuskegee Airman is for the younger generation that might watch this?
What he is?
What the Tuskegee Airmen stood for, what they consisted of?
Well, the Tuskegee Airmen was just a group of black pilots, I mean, who fought in World War II. They were people who was held out of the actual war and was doing like escorts and so forth because they kept saying that they were not qualified. And yet when they got the escort, they were the only outfit that escorted the bombers and stayed with the bombers and never did lose a bomber. And never lost a bomber while they were escorting them. So they finally woke up to the fact that these guys could fly. And not only could they fly, they flew excellently. And there are quite a few of them that were over in Italy that have medals and so forth for kills that they have made with the German that they did contact.
I had heard that there were some of the B-17 fighter pilots that specifically requested escort from the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah, there was a fighter group that they requested them to be their escort because they knew that these guys would stay with the plane and bring them back. You know, if they could, they don't take off and have the glory of dogfighting with the enemy. Tuskegee does have a legacy. If you feel that you can do something, give it a try.
Do you have any words of advice to the young black Africans in this day and age that think they probably will never amount to anything? You did quite well for yourself throughout your life.
Well, I would just say nowadays that the opportunity are there for the black people, for any black, and that but he does have to put on an effort, and he may still have to exceed that of the white person before he can accomplish what he wants to do. But don't give up. Give it a try. Dr.
Russell, the Linn County Historical Society would like to thank you very much for sharing your memories with us. It's been an enjoyable hour. Thank you again very much.
Okay, appreciate it.